Hello everybody, my name is Periwinkle and today I have an awesome video for you guys. As you can see, our scenery just changed a little bit, and for today's Halloween video I want to show you guys how to make 3 Gravity Falls treats all inspired by this first Summerween episode in the loser candy category. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's basically where Dipper and Mabel are a little upset that the candy that Grunkle Stan bought to hand out is not the best. Well, I decided I wanted to recreate this. Basically, I decided to take the 3 that they mentioned by name at the beginning, and I'll work with them. It's basically really off-brand stuff that doesn't sound very appetizing, but I promise today everything we are going to make will be wonderful. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to start with is the sand pop. So that's one of the first things they mentioned. So what we're going to do is I'm making an actually healthy alternative to what they said, and I'm going to be using honey instead of sugar and all that, just so you guys can have a little bit of a health kick. Of course, everything else will be completely carved and sugared, but this I'm going to go a little healthier. So here, as you can see, we have a plate. I'm going to place down some wax paper so that the honey will not stick to the plate and it'll be easy to remove. And then I am taking some honey. This is very basic, pure honey in the raw, super good. And I'm going to unscrew it and put a little dauble on. Make the circle however big or small that you want. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger. Just take the runoff and put it in the jar or whatever you are using. Not the best shape, but I think it'll do. Oh, I love me some honey. Now we're going to take some brown sugar. This is not really labeled, and this is to give it the sandy, gritty aspect. So I'm going to take a little bit and drizzle it a little bit on top. Will not look the best, but you can always get the excess off like that, like how you would with glitter. Then just take a popsicle stick and pop it right in the center. And I'm personally going to take a bit of the honey and put it over top just to make sure that we get that popsicle stick to stay in there. It's a rather large lollipop, as you guys can see, but my label is actually really large when I printed it out, so I'm going for a bit larger, but that depends on how you print out your label, which we will get to in a little bit. And here, all you have to do is pop it in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes or until it's hardened, and I'll see you guys then. So now we're going to remove the honey from the parchment paper. Now we have our sand pop done. I actually ripped off some of the excess just because it didn't look cute, and I accidentally ripped off too much, but it still looks super adorable. So here is our finished sand pop. You can definitely see some brown sugar granules in there, making it look just like sand. So now we are going to pop this in our label. Make sure it is laminated so that the food doesn't stick, and pop your sand pop in, and then seal it on one side. So now that our sand pop is in, again, this is rather large, but make sure that your paper is laminated. And what we are going to do is we are going to seal it on one side and then cut off the extra. So this is pretty big, as you guys can see, but I did decide to cut off the excess, but I think it's super cute, super comical, and I really do love it. Now the next treat we're making is very, very, very simple. I can't stress it enough. I decided to put the simple one in the middle just to give you guys a little break. And what we're doing today is we're making the Mr. Adequate bar. So if you don't know, the Mr. Adequate bar looks like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But of course I had to make the label first, so that was a bit of a trip, but here's how I did that. So the first thing we're going to do is go to any web browser you want. I'm using Firefox, and I'm looking up a reference image. So I'm looking up Gravity Falls Loser Candy, and then simply go to images. I think this image is perfect, and we're just going to save it. And then I'm opening up any photo editing software. I'm using paint.net. You're going to open up your reference image, and then you're also going to open up another document and make sure the sizes are the size of a regular paper, which is 8.5 inches by 11. And then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to collect the colors from the Mr. Adequate bar and the regular text. That way we can make our own labels, since the label itself is obscured by the other candies in the bowl. We actually have to make this label. So I'm drawing a straight line across and coloring the base of the top half with the background Mr. Adequate bar color, and then I am using this font so you guys can see It is code bold, and I'm using it for the Mr. Adequate bar text. And then for the Q, I thought we needed a different Q, so I'm using Hobos SID? I don't really know what it says, but you guys can see on there. And then I'm going back into code bold, but that's what I'm using for the Q, and then everything else is in code bold. And then I'm going back over, typing it again, just to make it a bit more bolder. Of course, you guys could just up the size or do this, but I'm just writing it down again behind it, and I think that made it completely, you know, bolder and a lot more stand-outish. And then I'm just going to resize it to however I want this, how big I want this candy bar label to be. So I'm just moving it up a little bit, and then I'm writing chocolate flavored underneath like the label says, which if you think about it is kind of gross. I mean, chocolate flavored, that's like a Yoo-hoo drink. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to flip it. So how you do that is you control and then paste, and then I'm going to flip it, and then I'm also going to not only flip it vertically like you guys see here, but I'm also going to flip it horizontally so that it is a mirror image and it's not upside down when we do put it on the actual candy bar. It's a mirror image, and it's not like you're reading backwards stuff. For the sand pop label, which you guys saw how I made the sand pop earlier, I am basically taking the label itself of the sand pop, and I'm just going to control that. By control, I mean copy, of course, and copy it onto a background below the Mr. Adequate bar of the same color purple. And then I'm taking that color purple and just going around the edges, basically almost like an eraser except with the same color. And then I'm just going to copy that and then paste it on the other side, so when you flip it over, it's going to be, you know, the same. All you have to do is just save it. And then after you save it, just go and print it. And yeah, of course, make sure you check your proportions and make sure they all come out okay. So if it doesn't work for your size candy bar, then you may have to print it a few times. But other than that, I think we're good. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a candy bar that kind of looks the same color. I found this Hershey's Gold Peanuts and Pretzels one. And then you can also use a whatchamacallit or some other cream or yellow candy bar. I'm just going to take my labels. As you can see, we also have the sand pop here, and I'm going to cut it to fit this candy bar. I'm putting it on the front and back. Of course, you could just do it one-sided. It is a little wide, but that is okay because we can cover up these colored flaps. So what we're going to do is we're either going to glue or tape it on. What I like to do is tape, since it's a very temporary solution. So just tape on your little Mr. Adequate bar label. I'm going to cut off the parts of the tag that you can see, that as long as it doesn't cut into the candy itself. Just, you know, the little flappy parts out here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other side of this and put it on to where it looks like it is basically molded together, or like it's a double-sided candy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out and match it to the other side. Here we are. That's our Mr. Adequate bar. Of course, it looks pretty poorly put together. That's because I just really couldn't do the proportions, but I think it looks really good nonetheless. I would totally eat this. I think it looks absolutely great. So the last candy we are making is the Gummy Chairs. I'm super excited because these aren't in a package, so we didn't have to make wrappers, but basically how it is, it's a little gummy bear in the shape of a chair. How wonderful. So this one's going to be a little challenging because I don't have a chair mold, but if you guys do have a chair candy mold, good on you. But I don't, so I'm going to have to DIY the shape afterwards. But we have to take a field trip to the stove for me to show you how I made this, so let's go. So the first thing we're going to start with is into a cold saucepan. We're going to add our ingredients: 1/2 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of unflavored gelatin. Then we're going to add in our Jello mix. I'm using black cherry because it resembles the color of the chair we are trying to complete more. You're going to put in 85 grams of this. Now I'm going to take a spoon and mix it all together. And then after that, we're going to put the stove on a low or medium heat. Now I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and occasionally I will stir. And then after that, we will take it off. Now that our gelatin has cooled, what we're going to do is we are going to pour it into something that is cold. So we're just going to pour it in here. And we are going to let it cool for a few more minutes. Now we are going to pour our gelatin into your molds. Again, if you have the L molds or the chair molds, you can use those, but I don't have them, so I am pouring them into my ice cube tray where I will then take them out and mold them afterwards. Now clean up a little bit and then pop them into the freezer. Now onto our gummies. So they actually harden, so they'll be easier to cut when we get them out. So first, you got to get them out of the tray. It's an easy way to get these guys out of the tray is to run some hot water over them. So we ran some hot water over top, and this guy seems like he wants to come out. So with washed hands, we're just gonna squeeze him out right here. Look. Now it kind of looks like an ice cube right now, but it is time to make this guy into our gummy chair. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to cut it. Again, if you use the chair mold, you do not have to do this part. But basically this is when you have to be an artisan and basically do the artwork yourself. Once this guy actually stops being so cold, this will be our gummy chair. Again, if you have the actual molds, you'll be able to use them. But right now, this is what he looks like, and he's pretty squishy. Super cute. Actually made 3 Gravity Falls creations. We made our Mr. Adequate bar, our sand pop, and our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gummy chair. And right now, we are just waiting for it to kind of stop being so cold. And once you can see it'll be a lot squishier once it stops freezing. I made a recliner, if you guys can't tell. Super cute. But we made these 3 things and I'm super excited and I can't wait to eat them. Oh, that tastes good. I don't even like cherry and that tastes delicious. But I'm super excited to eat all these things. And yeah, I'm so excited. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below and subscribe for more Halloween content. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. Bye!